to my channel where we talk all things motherhood and lifestyle of being a mom. If you haven't already, please subscribe if this is your jam and you want to join the fam, and leave a like so that YouTube knows that somebody out there liked this video.
You know, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer too. I am not a medical professional, so all of these suggestions are just things that I did in my experience.
If you're experiencing this too, I highly suggest you reach out to a medical professional sooner rather than later, because that is when you get the relief that you need.
So today we are going to be talking about Quervains Tenosynovitis, aka mommy wrist. I know it was a really long word for such a simple sounding issue, but this is something that I had no idea was a thing. I had never heard of anybody having it, so I didn't know when it was happening to me what was going on. Briefly, we're going to talk about what it is, then we're going to talk about how it happens or how you get it, and then we're going to talk about steps that you can take to alleviate the pain, when it's time to go see a doctor, and what are the different treatments out there that you can do. First of all, Quervains Tenosynovitis is an inflammation of the tendons that are from the thumb to the wrist. So it's right around here that you have these tendons that like run this way, and then there's a band that goes around your wrist that actually holds all the tendons like together. So when the tendons inflame, the band puts pressure on those tendons and it causes a really painful like pinch, especially when you're doing any kind of movement that involves like the tilting of your wrist. So anything that'll put more pressure on that tendon, it'll send a shooting pain, and it is really freaking painful. It makes things really difficult to do, like changing a diaper or bathing your baby or picking up your baby or literally just moving your baby or moving anything. Like, it's really hard to do anything. You especially can't hold your phone. You can't do any kind of grasping motion, because anything that'll cause tension for the pulling of that joint will cause the inflammation and the pain. The way that people get this is repetitive motion. So new moms, this is why this term has been coined as mommy wrist, is because new moms that aren't used to doing some of these repetitive motions that involve like with breastfeeding or picking up your baby or picking up your baby's legs, like to change the diaper, things that you don't think about normally. It is a repetitive motion that your wrist and your body is not used to doing. And you got to remember, when you're pregnant, your body sends out this hormone called relaxin that kind of loosens up all your tendons and your joints, and it makes you all loosey-goosey. So when you're recovering in that first postpartum phase and your tendons are super loose, it's really easy to get injured. And especially if you're doing a repetitive motion like, you know, baby changing and all the other things, it's going to cause tension and an issue, and therefore leading to more of a probability that you might get it. Now, since I don't know anybody else that has gotten it, I don't know how common this actually is. All I know is that when I went to go see my doctor telling them that I was having this issue, it was like about 3 or 4 months postpartum. And then it got really bad around 6 to 7 months postpartum, to where my doctor was like, you're going to need to do occupational therapy, because we can't give you injections of steroids into the joint to bring down the inflammation because you're breastfeeding, and you can't have steroids when you're breastfeeding. A couple of things. You're a freshly new mom, you're having these issues. You want to go see a doctor to seek help to get those therapies. But some of the things that you can do now until your therapy appointments, I know sometimes the waiting list for occupational therapy and physical therapy is like weeks out. So some of the things that you can do right now to alleviate some of those pains are this. First, you want to try to rest your wrist, which obviously is impossible if you're taking care of a baby. It's like you got to use it for everything. But rest it as much as you can at night. Once you put the baby down and you're no longer in those mom duties or pumping or anything like that, then you don't want to be using your phone, because anything like the scrolling motion of your phone will cause more issues. You don't want to be grasping things. You want to keep this area as stable as possible. And one way that you can do it is by ordering a thumb spica brace. So a thumb spica brace is very different than just a regular thumb stabilization brace that you could get at like Walgreens and Walmart. Sometimes those are easily found. These are a little bit more rare to find. You might be able to find one at CVS or Walgreens, but if you don't, you'll have to order it online. They could range anywhere from $20 to $40, $50. And what it does is it has a metal brace, like a metal plate right here on the wrist part, so it's not bendable. And it keeps the thumb stable. It keeps the thumb from being able to move. So if you're grabbing things and you're moving, even if you're trying to grasp, notice how my thumb can't go that far. So that's kind of the whole point of this brace, is to keep your thumb stable. and not being able to like bend and move it. It's really freaking annoying to wear, but if you're still the sole caretaker for your baby and you're doing like normal things like washing bottles and things like that, you're going to want to be wearing it and giving your hand as least amount of a break without it as possible. The more stable you hold it, the less inflamed and angry those tendons are going to get and the less pain you're going to feel. So this was a lifesaver for me, even now when I start getting those pains again, because I did also get this with baby number 2. It just wasn't as bad. I feel like because my body had gone through the motions of relaxing already before, and because I was used to some of those hand movements and I had really built up my strength on my wrist, that with baby number 2, it did not cause that issue. Thumb spiker brace, number 1 step you want to get. Next, to alleviate some of these pains at home, is you're going to want to use one of those heat pads. Now, there's just like these electronic heat pads that you would use on cramps or your back or whatever. You want to wrap your wrist around it. You want to do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then you're going to want to get a lotion and start massaging downwards. So the reason why you want to hold your like elbow up and kind of make gravity kind of take over is because you want to bring the inflammation down and away from this wrist point. And all of this, you'll notice, all of this will be swollen. All of this will be swollen depending on how bad it is. And especially like it'll like bulbous out like right here. Like when I was at my worst, oh my gosh, like you could totally tell the difference with my 2 arms. It looked like I was having an allergic reaction on this freaking arm. It was crazy. But you want to take the lotion, and after it's been heated, you want to massage downwards. Now you also want to rotate with ice. So rotating between heat and ice around that wrist, especially after you massage, putting some ice there, it'll really help bring down the swelling and it'll alleviate some of the pain. Now, if you are breastfeeding, you're really limited on what you can do as far as like, pain relievers go. But something that is always able to be taken is, Tylenol or ibuprofen, of course, with the approval and the knowledge of your doctor. And ibuprofen really helps to bring down swelling and to help kind of alleviate some of that pain. For me, I personally didn't notice much of a difference, unfortunately, when I would take it, that I would just do some of the other natural things. And especially because I'm paranoid, I was like, I don't want to be taking extra medicine and having that go into my breast milk and going to my baby. I'm just like that. I'm an anxious person. And medication just makes me more anxious. And yeah, I would just do the spiker brace, the heat and ice compression from the spiker brace. You want to keep it nice and tight. And then massaging downward to kind of bring down some inflammation. And of course, resting it if you can, but good luck when you're in the throes of newborn motherhood stages that you're probably not going to be able to rest it much. I do want to give you guys hope that if you are suffering from this very painful syndrome, that it is just a syndrome. It is a state in which your tendons are inflamed. It's not going to be like that forever. It does go down, especially if you seek out medical attention sooner rather than later, like to getting occupational therapy or physical therapy. For me, when I started occupational therapy, I was like, what are they going to be able to do that's going to be able to help? Well, actually, they have something called ultrasonic therapy. So it is an ultrasound, very similar to the one that they would use, like, when you're, getting an ultrasound, like on your tummy or anything like that. But it's just a wand and like a little machine, so you can't see any imaging. It's not that high of a radio frequency. It's just a lower frequency that I guess goes deep into the tissues and heats up the muscles. And therefore, afterwards, after it's nice and heated, at therapy, they would be able to massage me down, and it just felt so nice. It was like a nice pampering session, a nice time, like an hour away from being at home and doing mom duties, to really just be able to focus on my therapy and focus on myself. And it just felt like I was getting pampered. Like it was just like a nice little massage. On top of the ultrasonic therapy, they would do this thing called a wax dip, where they basically heat a wax till it melts and it's really hot, but not hot enough to burn you. And then you dip your hand like in this wax thing. And then when you like bring it out, it's all loosey-goosey and it feels just all amazing, and it's over encompassed with heat. So your joints are all nice and loose. And then they're therefore able to get really down into the tissue and kind of massage out that angry, inflamed tendon. Another thing that occupational therapy did that was a huge plus for me was they taught me different ways of doing repetitive motions that would further irritate the tendons. So especially with diaper changes, I noticed that was the number one trigger for my tendons to really get angry and inflamed. And instead of lifting up my baby's legs, like, it sounds dumb, right? You're like, you don't know how to lift the baby's legs. Okay, but you're lifting up the baby's legs to like tuck the diaper yet underneath the body of the baby. They were like, just slide the diaper underneath the baby first, wiggle it all the way up, and then, you know, use your opposite hand, the one that isn't triggered, to remove the diaper, and then proceed to putting on a diaper. It sounds simple, but some of these tweaks really did help. Also, instead of scrolling, if I was going to be scrolling on my phone or like dialing a number, trying to extend that thumb, I would have to use my pointer finger for everything, or my stylist. The note comes with a stylus, so you're able to pinpoint out the numbers and, you know, search that way. Other things that I would do is, instead of washing the bottles, the turning motion of opening the bottles. This sounds so dumb when I say it out loud. Oh my gosh. But listen, these repetitive motions, especially if you're suffering from this condition, can be excruciating. And instead of doing that, I would have my husband like unscrew all the bottles and either just have them there like ready to be rinsed and washed by me, or he would just have to take over. And it was kind of a nice excuse to have him to just take over, because I was like, oh, it's just so much more helpful when I don't have to wash them. And, you know, you're already taking the step of opening the bottles, so just wash them. Pro tip: get your husband to wash your bottles for you, and your pump parts and all the things. If you are suffering from this very painful condition, I am so sorry. I've been there, done that. It lasted for many months for me. I had to learn how to do things differently, and eventually over time, especially with the therapies that I was seeking out, it did get better. It didn't fully go away for me until I got pregnant again, and then the hormone relaxin kicked in like that, girl, and then everything got loosey-goosey again, including these tendons, so it took the pain away. So my suggestion to you isn't go get pregnant to relieve some of these pains, but if you're desperate, hey, and you wanted baby number 2, 3, 4, whatever, go for it, girl. It might help. And honestly, it just takes time. People don't realize it takes your body like a whole year just to start feeling like you used to feel prior to pregnancy. And even then, your body is still dealing with all these changes and these hormonal fluctuations. It's just gonna take time. And overall, mama, you're doing a great job. No matter what, you are the perfect mama for your baby. Things will get better for you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can join the fam. I would love to build a bigger community here on our channel, where us moms just kind of talk in the comments down below, giving each other pieces of advice or our own experiences. It really helps to hear that other people out there are going through something similar, and that it's going to be okay. Because sometimes you feel so alone and isolated in some of these issues, especially something so weird. Like, I never knew what mommy wrist was. And then I finally found someone on Instagram that was also going through the same things. And it just felt nice to be able to vent, or to be able to compare different strategies and different tricks that might be working for them. And then I felt less alone. So if that's you, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and we could be friends. And I hope to see you guys in the future. Bye.
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you